Hey, what's up? This is Ed Romero, Rhino King Cobras, and here's my story.
All right, so where were you born and raised?
I grew up around LA, various parts of LA, the east side, the south side, and around the SGV area.
All right, so what kind of led you towards the street life?
Just kind of growing up back in East LA and all that, kind of hanging out with the kids, growing up, tagging on the walls as youngsters. Um, that went on for a while. We ended up sticking together, a couple group of kids, and um, later on in life, I remember pretty much the older gang members pretty much giving the other little kids a decision to either get into tagging or go against us. And as young kids, right away I remember not wanting to get in or follow everybody else. But majority of all the kids were in the other gangs. Everyone was getting separated and divided into gangs. And I remember it just kind of just fell back. And I was already categorized before I even got into a gang, which is like at 15 years old. So getting involved in that, um, yeah, I ended up going down the wrong road.
And how did that affect your home life? Like school, parents, siblings, if you got anything like that.
Distracted. I could not stay still. Just like, grew up without a father, you know. I was the youngest sibling, so I remember older siblings getting older, moving out the house, and just kind of like, mom wasn't doing too good. She really couldn't take care of me. Kind of had to figure it out on my own. And I had to grow up real fast. So yeah, I ended up hanging out on the streets, becoming a product of my own environment because it was all gangs. It was all pretty much divided. Um, I remember growing up, just, kids, friends of mine passing away. Us over there gaining their, you know, like wanting to get their run back. Um, and that carried on and it, like an adrenaline ended up coming out of that. And I remember just like shooting at everyone. Um, I think I was just like kind of like getting out a lot of anger, kind of lonely. So I felt like a lot of love in the neighborhood and I really turned to it and yeah, it took me down the wrong road.
So when did you get your first charge? At what age?
Um, it's crazy because I got away with a lot of stuff as a juvenile, and it kind of just like fed the fire because as I got older, up to 22 was like the first time I ended up getting busted, and then it was for, well, not busted. I got busted on some other small charges, but in and out, and I knew I was going in and out, so it really didn't affect me. It was kind of more of like you got credit, you went in and out the LA County jail, but that really didn't sink in until I got busted on the case that where I served 20 years. On that case, when I went in there, I was kind of like an adrenaline junkie, and I was all into the gang banging. Nobody could tell me different. Like, um, I remember just going head on, full force, um, going in there, and then with this case, I robbed other gang members. That's what picked me up to 20 years. I picked up a gang member with a gun, which is a 10-year gang enhancement. Um, and then like 9 years for the robberies. But like for being a gang member with a gun, I ended up picking up 10 years for that shit. And yeah, I ended up going in there serving. It didn't stop in there. I went full throttle. I went to the shoe. I went to the back. I explored a lot. Um, I did a lot of level 4, 180 living. Um, I didn't, I really probably fell into depression because, and the way I dealt with it was like, I fell deep into drugs. I started getting high. Didn't want to see myself come out of it. I got better in there and then relapsed and relapsed and relapsed. But yeah, that's pretty much how that went in prison. And then the politics, you get wrapped up in that. It's hard to even think of a day that I was even going to go home. So in my mind, I was already set to like, this is my life. I'm going to do probably life in prison. And I was comfortable with that. But it's fucked up to where I think like that because that's all I really knew. That's all I really devoted my time and energy into.
And what was your initial prison experience?
It was pretty good. It's sad to say, but I lived good in prison. I was able to maneuver. It was never no breaking my will. You know, I went in there strong, held my head up, and I left that yard proud. And but I knew coming home, I had to change my life. I had to change my life drastically. I had to change the way I thought. You know, because I didn't want to come back and do the same thing. I knew it would have led me right back. And I even had friends like in there telling me, "What are you gonna do when you go home?" And I said, finally, I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna do me. You know, I've never done me. I've always given it to the gangs, but this time I owed it to myself and to do it righteously. So that's what I'm trying to do now and do better and become a better man for my wife, my kids, everybody.
And can you say anything that happened in prison? Any experiences where you're like, damn, this is
A
the real
big
thing?
experience that stuck out to me is I'm at the end of my I got busted in '99. I'm getting out 2018. I have a lot of pressure in me from there, from the fellas in there. We're not getting along, and I remember we were like on a modified kind of lockdown, and I really even talking to a lot of homies to where I'll just keep it to myself, and they came to pick me up. They came to pick me up, and for parole, and they have two officers that come pick you up. They escort you to the program, and from the program, somebody comes from R&R come pick us up. So the officer that came from R&R, I ain't gonna say his name, but he came to pick me up, and he was my boss for 2 days. So he comes with the paperwork, he comes to the cage, and he reading my paperwork, and he says, "You're going home?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like with a face of disgust that I didn't, he didn't feel that I was worthy of coming home. And I seen it on his face, and I read it in his eyes, and I was kind of like, you know what, fuck you, like hurry the fuck up, you know, because I knew he felt because of the life I led in there, probably shouldn't have came home. You know, I I was a different person, a way different person in there to where I was probably an asshole, maybe even to him. Maybe he feared us. He feared me. He feared all of us. But regardless of the fact is, my date was coming up, and he felt that he had the right to be that he felt that he had the right to keep me in there or something. And I was kind of like acting like a real asshole with him. Remember talking shit to him like, hurry the fuck up, do your fucking job, you know, piece of shit. And yeah, it was kind of like the last look I got of a seal. And they brought me down. They brought me down to a halfway house over there off of MacArthur Park, and I remember adapting. Uh, Chewing gum was big for me because, and there they don't give a gum, so it was pretty big for me. And just like seeing traffic, it was like stand still. I used to just stare at traffic, and everything was moving fast. And I remember just like de-escalating from everything that just went on. Um, but yeah, I was doing better now, and I knew how to stay busy. I remember getting in a halfway house a job to become one of the cooks right there. And the only reason I did it because I've never even had a job as a juvenile. So I mean a steady job as a juvenile. So I remember like I wanted to go into the kitchen to see if I even had a skill to work, to even show up, to see if I could work. And it's a trip because when I went, then all the other homies seen that it was kind of cool to go, you know, to the kitchen. I was just like, they're making food right here, and it's like a lot of stuff to wouldn't even know. So I was just like, it opened the doors, and everybody, all the homies were in there, were making enchiladas and stuff like that. It was crazy. So when I was in that halfway house, when I came down from upstate doing 20 years, I was there for about 4 to 6 months. In my last 4 to 6 months, because I was still maxing out, so I came down with an agreement. They put an ankle monitor and stay in the home for the 4 to 6 months. Um, Being there, I remember they give you like a case manager. Um, and I remember the case manager asked me if I wanted a therapist, and I was just like, yeah, why not? You know, because before in there, I've always refused them, and you're even supposed to refuse as an active homies are supposed to. And but being that I'm out, I was like, why not? I got a lot of stuff on my chest to where I never released or let go. And I remember getting assigned to a therapist, and like this person didn't know me from nobody, right? So I went in there and I kind of just spilled my heart. And it's crazy because in there I was cold hearted and didn't really tap into my feelings at all. But being after I opened myself, it was just like, kind of relieving, and I felt better, and couple said I only did like 2 to 3 sessions, and then I was it. I was done with it. I just kind of like felt like I just needed to get shit off my chest. Um, like I said, I was still adapting, de-escalating from everything that just went on. So while I was still in the halfway house in the home, I remember them helping me out with Social Security, my driver license, because I didn't obtain that no more after 20 years. Um, they even after like 60 days, have the ankle monitor on me, and they're allowing me to go to certain locations there, there and back, and without deviating. Because if I deviate, then they send me back upstate. Because I still have remaining time left to serve till I max out. Um, so I do that, and during the process, I remember getting to go out on a pass with another inmate to Homeboy Industries, and I was just like, yeah, I've heard about that place. I'll check it out. I've never been there. Um, lo and behold, in my life, it's a changing moment because I met the love of my life there, Nelly Romero. She blessed me with 2 kids. I also have an older daughter, Jasmine Romero. Um, yeah, so when I go down there, um, I'm just talking to the homies, not really thinking much of it, just, getting to know people. They ask who I was, where I'm coming from, or whatnot. And I guess somebody runs back to Father G, and he was there that day or something like that. And they let him know that I was there. And he called me into his office. And not knowing me from nobody, he just go ahead and blessed me with a job. He gave me gift cards and just told me welcome home, son. And just like it was real like warm. Gave me a hug. It was real warm and just like like didn't care what I went to jail for. Didn't care where I've been or who I was or what. He was just like it was nothing but love, And I felt that embracement. He gave me a job. Like I said, with a wife there. Um, but I couldn't stay there too long. I knew I was ready to clip my wings and get out there in the real world and start working and providing for my family. Um, so I did so. I left that place after right away. Um, a month after me being out, I joined the union. I started working with the union as an apprentice, as a floor layer. 3 years later, I journeyed out. To this day, I've been out 6 years, 6.5 years. I journeyed out in the union since. Not planning on staying there long because I want my own contractor's license, and I don't think I'm that far from getting my own contractor license. Uh, yeah, just a different change, man, to where I wanted better for myself because before I didn't even love myself because I put myself in stupid situations. Now I'm back and readapted with my family, creating my own family, and just trying to take it to a better place. So yeah, I am a Catholic. I grew up pretty much going to Catholic church. I did my first communion. My second communion, I was baptized, but I never visited since. Um, Obviously, I went straight to the streets, found fucking love there, ran amok, ended up in prison, got worse in there, and now I'm back and I'm revisiting my relationship with God. Um, I would like it to be stronger. It's not. I do struggle with it. I feel like it could be better. but it's my own way also. Like I pray and I have this conversation with God. I don't sit there with a script and go by, John 3:16 or whatnot. I go by my conversation and my faith and my belief in Him, and that knowing that the reason I'm still here is because of Him. I know that, and the way He blessed me with my children, down from my oldest to my youngest, um, they're beautiful kids. I want to teach them right. I want to give them more than what I ever had. Um, just want a better life for them. So, like now, I just want to thank God and everything for the blessings that He's given me, the opportunities that He's given me, and I know He's still there. He's watching over me. He's taking care of me and my family. Might struggle at times, but I know He has us, and we're going to continue to help others, give back, and want better.
And what advice would you give your younger self?
The advice I would give my younger self is get your shit together. Um, don't doubt yourself. Be the person you are in a good way. As much adrenaline and effort that you put into being a gang member, do that to be the right person and a good person and better for your children.
And what would you tell your children if you saw them doing some of the same things you were doing?
Learn from what I've put myself through. Learn from learn from my mistakes, because there's a place for people that don't give a fuck. And I've been there, and I dwelled with them for 20 years, and it's nothing to play with, because you could be doing it for the rest of your life.